Every once in a while, some new piece of tech comes along that just sets off an absolute frenzy. It's like a gold rush, right? Everyone's scrambling to stake their claim. Well, it looks like the start of 2026 picked off the next big one. And this time, the gold is artificial intelligence.
And just like all the great gold rushes of the past, this one started with a completely unexpected discovery. The big Consumer Electronics Show, CES, was supposed to be about AI PCs, flashy gadgets. But something else happened. As this quote from Future News puts it, something much more fundamental ended up stealing the show and basically lit the fuse for this whole explosion.
So what was it? What was this new vein of gold that everybody suddenly tripped over? It wasn't an app. It wasn't a new piece of software. No, it was the bedrock, the physical foundation of all AI, the computer chip. And not just any chip. We're talking about a brand new generation of impossibly powerful 2-nanometer chips. And the leap forward here it's just staggering. I mean, on one hand, you had Intel dropping its 18A process. That's a 1.8 nanometer class chip. We're talking about pushing computing down to the atomic scale here. But then, not to be outdone, AMD comes out with its MI4055 AI accelerator. This thing is a monster. It's built by TSMC on their new 2-nanometer process, and get ready for this. It has 320 billion transistors on one chip. That's not just an incremental upgrade, you guys. That's a whole new ballgame for computing power. Okay, so with a discovery that massive, you've got everyone from Google to the tiniest startup rushing to build the next big thing in AI. But that brings us to that classic question that pops up in every single gold rush in history.
Right? Is it the prospectors, the folks who are out there in the river sifting through mud and rock just hoping they strike it rich? Or is it somebody else entirely?
Yeah, if you look back at history, the real money, the surefire bet, was always the people selling the picks and the shovels. And in today's AI gold rush, the shovels are the unbelievably complex machines needed to actually manufacture these new 2-nanometer chips.
And you don't have to take my word for it. Just look at how the market reacted. The moment those chip announcements hit, it wasn't just Intel and AMD that surged. Check this out. The stocks for the equipment makers, the shovel sellers like TSMC, ASML, Applied Materials, they all shot up to brand new highs. Wall Street knew exactly who the real winners were going to be.
So what makes these shovel sellers such a fantastic bet? It's all about their business model. Look, the foundries, the companies like TSMC actually making the chips, they're what we call asset heavy. They have to build these fabs that cost billions and billions of dollars. Their fixed assets are over 35% of their total. But the equipment guys like KLA Corp, they're asset light, less than 8%. See, they don't have to build the giant factories. They just sell the super expensive machines that go inside them. And that leads to a way higher return on equity. In other words, they squeeze more profit out of every single dollar that's invested in the company.
All right, so we've got the gold, we've got the shovels, so now let's talk about the prospectors. With all this insane new computing power, what are the software developers actually trying to build? What's the gold they're digging for?
This quote here from Bruce Schneier nails the big shift that's happening. For the past few years, it's been all about building these massive, general, do-everything AI models, but the new hardware changes everything. The focus is now pivoting to smaller, way more efficient, and hyper-specialized models, the kind that can actually run right on your phone. And that's a huge deal, because it starts to shift the power away from just a couple of tech giants. And the key to this whole new frontier is a concept called the AI agent. So what the heck is that? Well, don't just think of it as a chatbot. Think of it as an autonomous worker. It's a system you can give a goal to, and it can then make a plan and carry out a bunch of complex tasks to get there, all on its own, with almost no human hand-holding. That's what this new chip power really unlocks.
And believe me, this isn't just some sci-fi theory. The boomtown is being built as we speak. The big tech companies are already rolling out the infrastructure to manage these agents by the thousands. Microsoft, for instance, already has a platform called Agent 365. It's basically an operating system for a company's army of AI agents, letting them manage their digital workforce just like they manage their human.
Whenever a new frontier opens up this fast, it always feels a bit like the Wild West, doesn't it? There's this mad dash for land, for gold, and then right on its heels comes the rush to build a town with laws and sheriffs and, some kind of order. And that is exactly what's happening with AI right now.
A really big part of this is something called tech sovereignty. Just look at Europe's cloud market. It's wild. A full 65% of it is controlled by just 3 US-based companies. And that kind of dependency is making governments all over the world really nervous. So they're scrambling to build their own systems and, more importantly, set their own rules, so they're not just at the mercy of a few foreign tech giants.
Here in the States, California, as usual, is leading the charge on writing the new rulebook. Just at the start of 2026, a whole wave of new AI laws kicked in, and they're trying to cover everything, from forcing companies to be transparent about how their biggest AI models work to making sure they can't just say, "Oops, the AI did it," when something goes wrong. They're even cracking down on data brokers who might be feeding our personal data into these things.
But where there's a boom town, there are always outlaws. Of course, all this incredible speed and interconnectedness, well, it's also creating a whole new class of security threats that, frankly, we're just starting to wrap our heads around.
And this is the heart of the problem. Look at this number, 4.8 million. That's how big the global cybersecurity skills gap is right now. We have nearly 5 million more open security jobs than there are qualified people to fill them. Think about that. We are building this amazing new digital world without nearly enough sheriffs to protect.
So what's the solution? How are companies trying to plug this gap? Well, they're turning to AI agents, of course. They're using these autonomous systems to handle security. And this creates a really dangerous paradox. The very tool we're using to try and solve the security problem is now becoming the new #1 target for the bad guys.
Just think about how different the threat is. To hack a person, you might have to trick them with a clever phishing email, and they're only working 8 hours a day. But hacking an AI agent? That's a whole different ballgame. It's a target that's on 24/7. If you can compromise it, you might get direct, high-level access to a company's crown jewels. And these attacks can happen at machine speed, way faster than any human could possibly react.
And that really brings us to the single most important question of this whole new era. The tech is moving at lightning speed. The prospectors are digging, the shovel sellers are getting rich, the boom towns are going up, but are the lawmakers and the sheriffs keeping up? As this AI gold rush just keeps accelerating, the real race is between innovation and regulation. It's a race to see if we can build the rules faster than the outlaws can break them. And honestly, right now, it is not at all clear who's winning.